Very good afternoon. Gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step to humanity. Myself, Dr. Bala Koteswari, AIMS Vice Chairman, Andhra Pradesh Chapter and Dean Sanskrithi School of Business, Puttaparthi, Sri Satyasai District, Andhra Pradesh. It's my proud privilege to be the moderator for today's Inspiring Young Leaders session titled Being a Knowledge Worker. I welcome the resource person for today's session, Dr. KBS Kumar, Founder, Director, bschoolexpress.com. With great humility and respect, I welcome the President, AIMS, Dr. R. Nandagopal Garu. I also welcome AIMS Regional Vice President, Dr. Narayan Reddy Garu. I also welcome AIMS Executive Secretary, M Venkateshwarlu Garu. I welcome all the officials from AIMS from length and breadth of the country and abroad. With great respect, I heartily welcome all the participants who are curiously waiting to hear the speaker. A quick glance about AIMS. In the annals of management education sector, 27th August 1988 should be remembered as a great landmark, as it was on this day the Association of Indian Management School, AIMS, a highly impact-making networking body, was born. It has the strong support of about 550 high-ranking B schools as its members and is one of the largest networking bodies in the world. It is an umbrella organization for the management institutions. AIMS has been involved in protecting the interest of management institutions from the vagaries of restrictive governmental regulations, professionalization of management education, creation and dissemination of management-related knowledge through its various activities like roundtables for deans and directors, faculty and student development events, organizing conventions, national and international level seminars and workshops, publication and distribution of AIMS Journal of Management, funding of research projects, and financial assistance. Of late, there has been a spurt in diversifying into new activities for the benefit of deans, directors, researchers, faculty, and students in the shape of inspiring young leaders and knowledge-sharing sessions, at least once each every week. These new initiatives are fascinating to many faculty and young minds of students. And today, we are going to witness yet another session in this series, Being a Knowledge Worker. We have with us Dr. KBS Kumar, Founder Director, bschoolexpress.com. Sir is a passionate researcher with 5 authored books, 50 international awards for the best teaching case studies, 20 years of business teaching, and 100 plus published teaching case studies to his credit. His areas of interest include innovation, strategy, leadership, entrepreneurship, and emotional intelligence. His hobbies include reading business autobiographies, watching documentaries, and business leaders' interviews, and building strategic conversations and abstracting patterns. Before handing over the session to the speaker, a couple of instructions to the participants. In order to conduct the session in an uninterrupted way, all the participants were muted. Please cooperate with us. After the speaker completes his talk, time will be provided for question and answers. Participants are requested to post your questions in the chat box, which I will read it and give it to the speaker. Feedback link shall be shared with you before the question answer session. Kindly fill it so that you can get your certificate. Over to you, sir. Dr. KBS Kumar, Founder Director, bschoolexpress.com.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I'm audible, I guess, right?
Yes, yes.
Right, great. So thanks. Firstly, my sincere thanks to AIMS, Nandagopal sir, for making this happen, and all the facilitators behind the show. I'm really delighted. I'm excited to share my pennyworth with the students and the teachers and all those who are a part of this session. So just to, in a nutshell, to set the ball rolling, what I have for the session here is, in specific, of course, it is addressing our most important stakeholders, the students in specific. However, most of the observations I'm going to share hold good to all those who are in some or the other way knowledge workers, and there is no escape from this expression, from belonging to this expression. All of us in some or the other way are knowledge workers. Even if you take the illustrations from the extremes of sectors like manufacturing or agriculture, which in erstwhile times were considered to be not a part of knowledge society, cannot escape from the fact that they have to be a part of the knowledge society. And hence, I'm sure most of the observations I have to share with the session will hold good to all of us. However, my special emphasis will be on the students who, in a year or two from now, are about to take a plunge into the corporate sector in anticipation of a bright and shining career. I'm sure this session would leave us to take away some insights that would be useful for us in the career and life in the times to come. Great. So I think I would request you, whatever questions or observations or suggestions for that matter you have, kindly keep recording so that they don't miss out. Because in my view, please do not hold yourself back, assuming that a question could be a stupid question. What would others think if I ask this question? Because in my view, there cannot be a more stupid question than why has the apple fallen down from the tree after detaching? Why hasn't it gone into the skies? And had this question not been asked, we wouldn't have had the discovery of gravity by none other than Newton. So please do not refrain yourself from asking any sort of question within the context and the space of discussion in this session. So the intent is not to scare the participants off with this slide of mine, but then this is the ugly fact of the matter we have to bear with. Whichever sector, whatever stage of profession we belong to, or whichever career we are yet to choose, there is ample amount of likeliness of obsolescence, redundancy, and irrelevance that might prove us to be if we are not cautious, if we are not conscious, and if we are not cognizant of the various dynamics around. Obsolescence, what do I mean by it? I'm sure that the words are self-explanatory. Obsolescence, when the skills that we claim to be carrying do not hold good or do not hold validity anymore. Redundancy, when you have the skill, but then there is another skill which is already there, which is probably working for your kind of skill in a much more efficient, much more effective, much more faster manner. Irrelevance, when the kind of skills or competencies that we are claiming do not bear any significance or any importance in the workplace, suddenly we find to be an unwanted resource or a resource that the company would want to get away with. And this is a story all around that we see. If you look into a newspaper or a website capturing the news, you would see all the undesirable news around in the corporate parlance, where the employees are being indiscriminately, unceremoniously being driven out without any valid logic or reason or purpose, right? And where does this actually boil down from? Is it the individual alone who is suffering, or what is where does the story actually begin from? If you look at it, the individual is the final resultant effect of the trickle down effect that begins right from as broad a level as economies. If you look around, we should be considering ourselves lucky to be belonging to one of the healthiest, one of the robust, and one of the most resilient economies in the world. And but then if you consider some of the economies like Lebanon or Suriname or Sri Lanka or Zambia, these are some of the extreme economies. Even if you consider economies like the Italians or Argentina or US for that matter, as on date, the economies, the model of driving their economies is becoming fast questionable, and they are fast coming into the challenge of economic recessions, and the sectors are going into the doldrums. And then if you look how it is trickling down to individual before the axe falls on the individual, if you see the sectors that are, there are several studies which claim that these sectors that mentioned over here may not even be existing, maybe 10 years or 20 years down the line, right? Likewise, there have been many sectors which don't exist even on the day, like postal services or print media. At one point of time, even until 15 years ago, if you see, the print media was so active, and the big four consulting firms in the consulting sector, you used to have something like big five publishers, at the global level. The entire bandwagon of which has been decimated unceremoniously by this one publisher called any guesses? Oh, I think they're muted, right? I'm sorry. I think I should not expect though. I'm sure most of you may be knowing the answer, but one player who played the role of a monster in erasing out the entire global publishing industry and bringing all the active publishing activity onto one platform. And the player is called Amazon, right? I mean, all those Penguins or Macmillans or whatever big names you take, they hardly exist anymore, and they're at the mercy of the authors. At one point of time, they used to rule the authors, they used to rule the readers, they used to rule all the stakeholders involved in the publishing and print sector. Whereas now, the entire publishing activity has gone to dogs. You are an author, you can be a publisher too, because you have somebody called Amazon, which allows you to be author. And so likewise, there have been such unprecedented developments, unpredictable developments that have taken place that resulted in decimation of industries. Leave aside disruption. Disruption is a thing of past. It is a clean decimation. It's and which is readying to have an altogether and unimaginably new player. Cinema. You have seen such an amount of disruption in cinema that they are running from pillar to post to make the people come back to the cinema, thanks to the COVID and thanks to the mushrooming of these OTT platforms that have made their way into every domestic hold. And now we have a very clear choice between whether to go to cinema or whether compel the cinema to come to home, right? So that's a way how we have seen the fall, the significant decline of the cinema as a sector. Likewise, staffed retailing. It is predicted to be soon going to be a thing of. I see Ms. Sandhya raising a hand. Do we allow a question, madam? I don't mind though, but as per the convention of the session.
We will reserve it to the end, sir. No problem. I hope they understand.
Sure. Likewise, staffed retail, though it has not percolated down so heavily into the practical scenario, but then we see people like Amazon and then the likes of which who are interested in opening stores where there is no human involvement at all, may it be in stocking or may it be in guiding the customers or may it be at the billing, right? You may have heard of some of the unmanned retail stores, though less in number, but less is an indication of the possible future of possible mushrooming in future. If not, the precautionary measures are not taken by the existing players. So staff retailing may be thing of past. Likewise, paralegal and the legal research. What is going to replace this? It's all about knowledge. It's all about information. Whoever gives it, it could be a human or it could be a bot or it could be a machine, which is a learned machine. We call it machine learning. We infuse all the learning into a machine and we create a bot out of it and we connect it to the computer, which is interfacing with another computer on the other side, which is in need of requirement of certain information, and the interaction is going on as if it is two human beings. No difference. Probably a more superior human being and the needy and of the service. So legal or the accountancy sector, as long as there may be some intelligence required at the point of decision making and insightful decision making, there may be a human required. But until then, whatever information, whatever data, whatever numbers you have to infuse into your columns and rows, it can be well taken care of by a bot. Likewise, travel agencies, the physical travel agencies, the number has already significantly coming down. When we were kids, you may have seen a greater density of these physical travel agency firms around your household. But then, do you get to see them in equal number anymore? No. Why? Because of all these travel agencies playing a better role, more efficient role on the web, online. Likewise, library information services. Frontline banking is shrinking. The bankers are discouraging us to coming to the physical space of a bank. Everything is in your palm, or in the worst case, on your table. So there are some banks, some global banks, in fact, which penalize the customers for making a physical visit to the branch. I remember Citibank would levy a fine on the customers in addition to the transaction that they have come to make, which is a penalty for making all the way to the branch. Whereas, gone are the days when the banks would welcome us, invite us to get to their branch and give some physical, interactive service at the bank. Likewise, in-store book selling is gone. Thing of past again. We have all the books, in fact, of much greater collection, much more choices of the version of reading. You can read online. You can read. You have a, what is it called? The Kindle version, or the physical version, hardbound version, or paper book version, with so many varieties and such an ease of service. This very sector of in-store book selling, the likes of Odyssey or those names, those could become a thing of past in a short time from now. So that is how the effect is trickling down from economy to sector. Likewise, if you see what is the effect on the companies, all these companies that you see on the screen are in the pages of history now. Pan America Airlines, they couldn't get a body or a government or any other investor to bail out their trouble, and they are gone. Merrill Lynch, it used to be, I'm sorry for the typo there, it's Merrill Lynch. A bank, or Lehman Brothers right below that. These are used to be one of the top two banks, and one wave of a recession, and the two banks are the clear casualties of the event, and they don't exist anymore. Woolworth, likewise a retailer, US based. Toys R Us is one of the most popular brands in America, which used to sell what the name stands for. Blockbuster Video, what has resulted in this thing of Blockbuster Video bankruptcy? Again, the big wave of these online or web-based streaming of the videos like Netflix or the Prime of Amazon. Likewise, Compaq, Tower Records, Kodak again. Kodak is a different story altogether. Compaq, of course, Tower Records because of their business models or the product redundancy. But Kodak is a different story. They probably wouldn't have dreamt of something that could replace the reeled photography at all, right? And the reel is gone. The reel is a thing of past. Neither in filmmaking nor in photography, the reel does not exist, and the entire thing is washed out with this digital wave. And the likes of Kodak, etc., are not there anymore. Enron, of course, is another story where people, good boys become bad boys, and they play hands in glove with the consultants, and they do a lot of window dressing into the accounts. And then suddenly you see when the auditors or the governments peep into the books, they have no explanation for the inflated numbers they are showcasing. And then suddenly it's a sudden collapse of a mammoth of an energy firm that used to rule the world at one point of time. Likewise, Polaroid technology saw probably the bright and shining days for the narrow gauge of transition between the real photography and the digital photography. They came up with something called instant photography. You stand there, get a click, and you have the photograph. But then how long could they roost? Probably not more than 10 years, right? The reeled, and then the Polaroid, and then soon came in the digital. Likewise, if you look into the products which don't exist anymore, or which could be vanishing very soon. BlackBerry phone, we remember at one point of time, every corporate professional would take it as a matter of pride to carry a BlackBerry in their shirt pocket so that it is very vividly visible to the onlookers, right? Likewise, alarm clocks. How many of us even have a watch around our wrist? Leave aside alarm clocks. Film, the black thing, the film for recording is a thing of past. DVDs, CDs, these are some of the products which have vanished right before my eyes. You know, I have purchased DVDs and CDs on several occasions, and I remember now not only the product has vanished, but even the provision for inserting that product on a computer has vanished. It has become so irrelevant and so redundant. Likewise, fax machines. There was a point where, with the great sadness, the government, the global players have declared, the governments have decided that fax need not exist anymore. With the emergence of things like pagers or mobile phones, the short messaging services, etc., fax lost its significance. Landline phones, Walkman. At one point of time, it was a revolution in the music industry, where the size of a music player had shrunken down from something as big as the size of your table to as small as the size of the pocket. That was a revolution. And hardly anybody could imagine that there could be another product which could not only affect it, but it decimate it again, erase it out of the market totally, in the name of iPod, right? So likewise, if you see floppy disks or pagers or GPS devices, when GPS service was a new thing, there were exclusive GPS devices that used to be tagging along with the cars, the new cars, cabs or cars. But then now we have all these softwares embedded into one thing, which is prevailing in every pocket, every purse or every handbag of the citizens, called a mobile, right? Dial-up modems. I don't know how many of us can actually relate it to this device of internet connection, where we used to wait for minutes together from the booting of internet, and then there is a dial-up happening on your screen, and you have no option but to wait for the dialing to happen and connect the internet connection to the computer. Whereas now things are happening at the speed of a click of a button, and you have every second it doesn't connect. It's actually your irritation, frustration that is going up. Such intolerance, such impatience has grown up because such a development and such a unprecedented development has taken place in the technology sector. Likewise, if you see, now this is the trickle-down effect of all these things now falling upon the individuals. Economies have gone, sectors have gone, companies have gone, products have gone. Now, unless the companies are having one foot in the present and the other foot in the future as to what is happening tomorrow, we don't know. And where can it come from? Like IBM, if you remember, IBM was in fact, it was the only player to make and sell the the professional computers or desktops at one point of time. It started, of course, with even more primitive machine tools, office machines, like it is known as, IBM, International Business Machines, as it is known as. But then, what happened with IBM? Like it was selling a computer or a desktop computer which was so heavily priced. Why did it have to go? Why did it make way to all its competitors? And why did it have to significantly scale down its computer making and move on to other consulting and the software services, right? Why? Because the various players from the various sectors had collaborated in the name of, probably you might have been taught in your MBA strategy or marketing, there's something called core competency. Core competency is, don't waste your energies in making of everything of your product. You focus your energy on what you are good at. If you are good at making chips, make chips only. If you are good at making the processor, make chip processor only. You are good at making the mouse of a computer, make mouses only. Likewise, when everybody started focusing, unlike IBM, where IBM was making all the products, all the parts of their own computer, when everybody like Qualcomm into chips, Intel into processor, or Samsung into the monitors, or the eyeball into the mouses. Likewise, when everybody was focusing, mobilizing all their energies into the making of their respective core competency products, now what came out was that each of these could attain their efficiencies of economy, efficiencies of time and cost, and as a result, what was the result? The price of an assembled computer came crashing down to anywhere between 15,000 and 20,000 against 70,000 to 1 lakh that was sold by IBM. So what happened? IBM was on the verge of bankruptcy during the middle of 80s. So when that could happen to companies, what are the options that they're left with? They have to push their pressure onto the employees, and they may have to ask them to go. So now what is happening? Companies very smartly, they are not waiting for the wave to hit them and then realize they are hit and then allow a lot of bleeding to take place within the organization and then take a call to shunt out the employees. And the companies have become like, they have understood that waves of shift, waves of change can occur anytime, and they can occur from anywhere. It could not necessarily be United States of America. It could happen from Denmark or Finland also. It could happen from India also, right? So there is no predictability of where the wave could hit us from, when the wave could hit us, and in what form and what name. So what they do now, they are very precautiously, proactively, the moment they realize that the resources are turning out to be either obsolete or redundant or irrelevant, or there is a need to right-size ourselves by downsizing ourselves, let us take an indiscriminate call. It's okay, we may draw some flag from the employees or the regulators or the governments. Investors will not say anything, because at the end of the day, they only want the companies to thrive at whatever cost, at the cost of employment, whatever. You give us money, you make money for us. That's it, right? So at this point, and not only now, this is the ugly picture that individuals are to face. If you open today's newspaper, you will see Microsoft. In fact, yesterday's, I think Microsoft had called out to shunt out 13% of their population, which amounts to about 11,000 employees. Likewise, Amazon 10,000, Alibaba 10,000, Salesforce 10,000. Hundreds of layoffs used to raise our eyebrows in the past, but then thousands also has become a new norm, which we have to settle with. Now, what is there for us to take away? What are the insights? This is, of course, this is scaring us, but then is there a way to deal with the situation? Of course, yes. And what is it? We have to build immunity into ourselves. How do we make ourselves immune to this kind of volatile, uncertain, ambiguous, and a complex situation? We have to deal with the VUCA. I'm sure this scenario has given us enough indication that the situation around us is extremely volatile. Right? You never know what is happening, which sector is going through how much of turmoil, and what call may come from which company in terms of layoffs. You just cannot predict it. Likewise, it's uncertain. It's all uncertain around. And it is ambiguous. Which technology is going to take over and which technology is going to thrive? Should we go for cloud, or should we stay with the premises, or should we go analog? Should we go digital, or analog is fine? Or should we go blockchain, or the existing banking system is fine? These are the kind of decisions which are throwing ample amount of ambiguity and uncertainty into the workplaces. Likewise, and it's making the entire thing complex. And can we do away with this? Definitely not. The times ahead are going to be witnessing only in further rise of these factors. We can be definitely assured the times are going to become, the competition is becoming so fierce, the power mongerism, to concentrate the market into a few hands is only on the rise. May it be Amazon, may it be retail, may it be Reliance. Future group is ultimately going to the dogs as to who being torn between Amazon and Reliance. Right? Likewise, may it be the petro sector, may it be the software sector, may it be apparel, fashion, retail, design, whatever sector. The amount of volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and complexity is definitely going to be only on the rise. What do we need to do in this context, in this scenario? The only way we need to confront the situation is to deal with it and make ourselves immune. If there are 11,000 people being shunted out by the Microsoft, there are definitely people who are left still in the Microsoft. So why are they not being shunted out? is a question that I need an answer for. And probably I need to make myself as immune as them, or maybe better. So what could be an answer? Definitely that I don't claim to be having the answer for, but then whatever answer I have been trying to find through various occasions, through various thought processes, I'm here to share with the session today. We have to beat VUCA with VUCA. If one VUCA stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, we need to inbuild, we need to generate, we have to get visionary. What do you mean visionary? Vision is not something that is confined to only organizations or companies. What is my personal vision? Where do I belong to? Where do I want to belong to 5 years or 10 years down the line? And it is not a question that cannot be answered. It is not only a typical conventional interview question as to what do you want to do 5 years hence, 10 years hence. Largely, it is a question that is confined to interviews. But then, if I introspect as to what am I going to do in the next 5 years, what is the answer? There will definitely be, but it just needs an amount of introspection. Where are my interests lying? I'll share with you I'll roll out a suggested framework that I have been working around, that I've been suggesting my students for years now. I'm sure it will be of some use to the students and all of us. Right. Likewise, uncertainty with understanding what is happening around. Let me stay connected. Firstly, what is happening? What is the next wave? What is the shift? Where do we get the indicators for this next wave from? Do I have no option but to stay blindfolded until the wave comes and hits us? Or by the time the wave comes and hits the market, is there a way I can equip myself? I can groom myself with the required skills and competencies that can effectively accommodate me into the new wave? And if yes, what is that? I have to form adequate understanding of what are the incoming things, what are the trending things, what are the trending skills and competencies that are being desired by the employers. Likewise, complexity, I need to keep gathering the clarity about what is it that, now how can I gain all these things? Staying connected, staying aware, staying conscious. And how is that possible? I need to take up a lot of reading from all the possible relevant, value-adding, promising sources. Not confining myself to my academic reading, which is anyway taken care of by the capable teachers in the classrooms, which is anyway taken for granted. But then, is that adequate? Definitely not. Right? Because there still, we have to confess the fact that there still remains a significant divide between the academic curricula and the corporate environment around. Though we have very efficient, very elaborate curricula rolled out into the courses, but then not to find fault with the curricula. It is actually the rate of change that is taking place in the practical scenario. We cannot move at such a pace. The academic curricula need to go through a great deal of presentations, proposals, discussions, deliberations, debates, arguments, approvals, disapprovals. All these procedures and processes prevent us from keeping the pace with the market dynamics. So what is the way? I need to create a parallel source of consuming information in hand with the academic curricula. Likewise, agility, ambiguity can only be dealt with agility. I need to become agile. Agile, what do I mean by agile? I need to be nimble. I need to be swift. I need to break certain barriers of obvious thinking. When I say one of the examples that I can take is when a student passes out as a finance specialized student or a student of marketing specialization, let me please be very clear and candid with you that these are only the boarding ticket for you to get into the flight. Now, whether you will get a seat or whether you will land safely, or that is a different preparation altogether. That is only the beginning, the footing board you can get with certain specialization, but you cannot afford to confine to the specialization and expect your MBA degree to do the service for you for your long career throughout the life. That is not. You have to roll out a continuous learning, continuous improvement mechanism within your schedule. Likewise, while those are the factors that affect us adversely, and those are the things that we need to roll out that can help us in confronting those adversities and equipping ourselves with the required knowledge, information, skills, and competencies. How to do that? I'm sure whatever I have done till now is just I've described the context, what is happening around and what we should do. But how to do that, how to get there, is something that I'll share with you in this slide. Right. So years ago, when I was observing the clear gap between the expected level of informedness, knowledge, and skills among the students, and what is expected actually outside in the real world, I thought I should design something and propose to students that could be of some help. So I call this a personalized learning dashboard. And this is something that is worth staying with you for as long as you are in the pursuit of your active career. It doesn't matter what level are you, or what stage are you, or how many years of career have you already passed. I would suggest this to be taken into cognizance, what all have gone into this. So that is something, as you can see on the Excel, that's something that I would suggest to all of us, in fact, irrespective of who we are, student, because there is no discrimination when it comes to knowledge worker. All of us are knowledge worker in some or the other capacity. Now, as you see, firstly, all it amounts to, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns that I have identified. And let me tell you that the content in the following 8 columns will automatically start falling in. There's no great rocket science, there's nothing difficult, challenging, and provided I'm clear about the first column. I'm sharing with you my personalized learning dashboard, and this will be different. This has to be unique to every individual who is a knowledge worker or who's soon going to be a knowledge worker. Now, what are these 4 or 5 for you, which drive you innately, which drive you passionately? As you see, I think the areas that I can highlight for myself, innovation. I mean, these are the areas not for the namesake or not for having something on the space, but then having studied the subject of management for 2 years or 1 year or for so many years. What are those areas, those subjects, those domains that really drive me, from inside? I have an innate desire to know more about this particular subject, whatever it may be. Again, a personal suggestion: when you are picking a specialization, don't go to an external source and ask as to which is a more appropriate specialization for me. Don't go by which sector offers more money or more jobs or no risk, or there's no such thing. Every organization needs all the specializations, and what you need to do is 2 things. One, you need to identify which specialization actually drives you from inside, intrinsically. I'm sure you must have come across the sources of motivation in your organizational behavior or human resource management subject. Intrinsic, extrinsic motivation. It is always desirable to identify the source of your intrinsic motivation. What drives you internally? Don't wait for a pat on the back or an appreciation letter or a hike or a promotion. Irrespective of all these things, which is the domain that drives you passionately from inside, right? If I ask myself, I think these are the 5 subjects that will remain on my radar throughout. Innovation, strategy. Now, once I have these 5 clear on my dashboard, I think rest is all. What are the books that I should resolve to finish reading in this year? Now, we are not far off after the beginning of the year. We're just in January, so we can always build a dashboard like this. So, because by virtue of the subjects being these, some of the books that I have on my dashboard that I should finish by the turn of the year are some of these titles and the authors. I thought it will be helping me if the Shoe Dog or face pressed against a window, or conversational intelligence. So I found these books interesting, adding value to my existing whatever little understanding about the subject. So I'm sure by the end of reading of these subjects, the corresponding areas of the interest will get a little more matured, more enriched, more value added. And when I speak on sessions like this, I'll be in a position to offer a little more value than what I have today. Likewise, what are those websites or blogs? Again, all these following subsequent 8 columns must be anchored to my passion domains. Let me not deviate. Let me not diverge from these 5 and dilute it. Right? What are those blogs? What are those websites that I must be in constant the connection with to know as to what's happening? Now, these are some of the blogs that capture really interesting, insightful, new, first than anyone else kind of websites that I've been tracking for quite several years, in fact. Right. Likewise, who are those people that I should look up to? If I have innovation as my area of interest, who is that person, or who is that thought leader who has done substantial amount of work, or who is very active in understanding that particular space and offering insights in the area which can help me in drawing new dimensions, new avenues, new facets of understanding that particular area, right? Likewise, I have about 8 to 10 names of those people whose works I'll be interested in knowing, in reading about periodically, right? Whose papers or whose blogs or whose books, whatever kind of value-adding output they come up with, that can act as my desired input for further learning. Likewise, what are the companies that excite you? Naturally, if you are there must be some companies which you want to know a little more about, your favorite companies, right? Like some of the companies that I have listed down here, which I take a sneak peek into. I mean, I may spend 1/2 day in learning about all the news about what is Salesforce doing, what is it doing in the area of cloud, what are its things in the wings, what are the new things that it is working around, who are its competitors, who is on the top of the Salesforce, who does their board comprise, right? What is Salesforce India strategy, Salesforce US strategy, who is collaborating with Salesforce? All these things are the thing of curiosity for me to understand the company better than anyone else. Likewise, it is desirable to have a bunch of favorite companies, and knowing, more important is knowing about what is each of these companies up to. Like Tesla, I'm sure many of us, for you as they say, you love him or you hate him, but you cannot ignore him, right? He is in the news every other day, in the name of crypto, in the name of driverless car, or in the name of a satellite being sent into the sky. Elon Musk is on the tip of everyone's tongue. So it's an area of excitement for me as to what is he coming up with next. Likewise, there's some of these companies. Moving on, who are those leaders who you look up to? It could be Indian context, it could be American context, it could be European context, it could be African context, right? But then who are those leaders who you would want to follow, who you would want to monitor closely as to what have been their strategies, what is their thinking style? You read a substantial amount of literature about their doings of the companies, you can very clearly make a foray into their mind, their thinking, their thought processes. Likewise, this is one of the most important columns of all, though I've mentioned it as H, but this deserves to be somewhere ahead of this, right? What are those 3, at least 4 courses that I am going to certify myself in, and get glued to such some of such platforms, certification offering platforms like Coursera.com. We must have heard of Coursera.com. And there are several others which have come after Coursera, but then why I am closer to Coursera than any other is because they're very strict and candid when it comes to allowing time. The others think probably allow more time, you can get more customers. They may get, but then they are not very serious pursuance of the courses. Coursera does not allow you to go beyond certain stipulated time. Time expired, you have to pay again. That's something very good about Coursera. So my personal recommendation, Coursera, but then there are Udemy, Unacademy, etc. There are many, Scalar, etc. But this is a platform which I would personally recommend to all of you, and identify as to which are those courses that you must resolve, you resolve to finish off by the turn of the year. Now, courses again can be classified into two types. One, the courses that fall within the area of your domain specialization, or the courses that have to be that will break all the silos of specializations and electives, and would expect anybody. Say, for instance, Agile, about something I mentioned here, Agile. Agile is something that has made its inroads into every domain. It could be operations, it could be HR, it could be IT. Of course, projects and IT is where it originated from. It could be marketing. Now, today, if you see, the application of Agile is everywhere. So it doesn't matter what specialization you are in. Do you know Agile? Do you know Scrums? Do you know sprints? Or do you speak the lingo of Agile? Any sizable company is now, as on date, doing away from the conventional mode of running a project, managing a project. They are shifting clinically to Agile. So you are expected to be knowing the lingo, the language, the vocabulary, the modus operandi methodologies of Agile. So a highly recommended course that anybody can take up. Likewise, what are the trending issues? Some of which I have only, I'm sure there are more to the list, but then at least let me get to know what these are. What is blockchain technology? How is it helping the banking systems to make it more robust, more impenetrable? Right? What is crypto? What is the future of crypto? What are the regulators around the world are saying about crypto? Is it here to stay, go? Who are the backers of crypto? Who are the criticizers of crypto? What is the base of crypto? How many invested? What is the investor base? And who are the big people behind it? All these are things of curiosity once you know that there is a trending issue, right? Likewise, retail. The retail is going through a never before like transition. The face of retail is totally changing, right? Firstly, there's a clinical shift from brick and mortar to online. And even online, they have so many variants, so many modes, so many facilities and comforts being offered to the customers, that the face of retail as we knew it maybe a decade ago is no way in resemblance with what it is now. So it's what are the trends in the future to come? Likewise, the environment, the social, and the governance aspects of the corporates. What are they doing? Who are the top ESG performers? Business of business is anyway business. But then apart from business, investors are looking, regulators are looking, governments are monitoring, people are monitoring, banks are monitoring, media is monitoring, everybody is watching into their other face. You cannot claim that my business is business. You have to show on your records, also in your reports to the regulators, as to what has been your contribution to environment, what has been your contribution to the society, and what is the quality of your governance. Else you are in the news for the wrong reasons. The media will take no extra minute in reporting that something is fishy with this particular company. So these are some of the areas of interest that I have labeled for myself, and each one of us, of course, has a discretion to identify what go below. Likewise, what are the trending companies that I must know? Leave aside, these are my favorite companies. Okay, I can know, it is desirable. But what are the companies which are making news? And why are they making news? Right? So likewise, so I have a few companies here for the reasons that they are known for. So this is something that I would present, I would call as the personalized learning dashboard that each one of us can design for ourselves. And this is so promising, so robust that it can stay for us for life. What is hanging below the first row, it can keep changing year on year, or as and when you want. If you find something more interesting, some more exciting thought leader than who you already have, can be replaced. But then these 9 columns, I suggest, should remain in each of our schedules, and a periodic check-in to each of these will put us in the race and would prevent us from becoming obsolete or redundant or irrelevant. Finally, I would like to share with you, I'll take maybe 3-4 minutes from now, a piece of research that I had started some time ago, yet to be published, but I find this is a relevant forum where I need to share this. This is a piece of research I had started with a sample size of about 200 people, all of who are thought leaders from various domains: economics, philosophy, chemistry, or strategy, or history, or across the domains. And when I see that all these are thought leaders, and I started tracing back as to where they started the journey from. All of them started the journey like you and I, as a generalist. Whatever we carry from the last school that we have attended, an MBA or MCA or whatever course you call it, we all of us, irrespective of the specialization we claim to have made, to have opted, all of us at the zero ground, when we just start our career, we are called as generalists. And how fast you make your way up the knowledge workers continuum towards thought leader is what it makes. But then, as my observation suggests, less than 1% of all those who start the journey as generalists can actually make it to thought leader. Now, what does each of these mean? I'll just briefly give. So after you spend about 5 to 7 years, you drill down into certain aspects, certain area of your broader, say, finance. Finance cannot be a specialist. You have to drill down whether you are a person of banking or markets or insurance or mutual funds or investment or merchant banking or the financial engineered products. Which area do you actually belong to? So you have to drill down, and you have to mobilize all your time and energies in becoming a specialist of that particular area. It might take 5 years more from there to reach to a stage where you can claim that there is nothing that you do not know in that particular, at least whatever is recorded, whatever is literature has captured so far in that particular area, you know everything. And that is where you can claim yourself as a subject matter expert. And once you claim yourself as a subject matter expert, people will know. You don't need to, we don't need to declare, we don't need to announce. People will know, because by then, we would have derived so much of output of our expertise that the situation, scenarios, the proposals, problems, projects will start coming to you. And that is when you are all set to start your journey as a consultant. And there will be a point where you would have addressed several such scenarios, you would have solved several problems, you would have streamlined processes, you would have helped in making of products, etc., where you can claim now to be you are a seasoned consultant. And once you gain so many years of consulting, of being consulted by people, you would have attained probably after 15 years or 20 years or maybe more, where now you're in a position to share your insights from all the experience, all the expertise, all the scenarios that you have gathered over the number of years. You are now reflecting those in various forums or blogs or articles or books or papers or case studies. Things start coming out, and that's when that's how you are sharing your opinion, which is a culmination of all the efforts that you have put in the last several years. You are recognized as an opinion leader, and when your opinions over a period of time become so popular, so widely revered, respected, embraced, accepted, applied, implemented, and widely celebrated, that is when you become your thought alone is enough to keep the places operating, running successfully, and that's when you become thought leader, right? And before I conclude this, I want to reiterate that each one of us, every one of us, has equal potential of emerging, of evolving as a thought leader, to culminate into a thought leader towards the tail end of our career. But then it all depends on how we chisel the career, how we nourish the career, how we mobilize all our time and energies into sculpting ourselves into a thought leader through the journey of being a generalist, specialist, subject matter expert, consultant, and opinion leader. I think I would withdraw at this point of time, and I would allow the participants to throw the questions, if any.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There are some questions in the chat box. I will read it out for you. There's a question from Ramlingam, who is asking, suggest best platform to learn certification courses on SAP.
I'm afraid I don't claim to be an expert of this area. All I know is, yes, you must have, there are places around, there are platforms around. I'm sure there are better platforms than my opinion. Even if I suggest one or two, I am sure that there could be more better suggestions pouring in, answering your question. Maybe a platform like Quora or I'm sure there will be answers on the web, better answers than what I can share with you.
And there's a question from Prasanna. Any important suggestions for young leaders?
So I think all those that I shared, Ms. Prasanna, I think all that, especially the personalized learning dashboard, is something that I would urge all of you to induct into your daily schedules and make it a part of your learning journey, so that you are clear, you're guided as to in which direction are you going. And one personal suggestion probably to all of us is, let's keep a check on the number of hours we spend on our mobile phone. It's a great robber of our times, and more important than time, your cognitive space. It sucks into our neural space, and it infuses all the unnecessary crap into the brains, preventing you from consuming the necessary knowledge and information.
Yeah. And because majorly the participants or the students, I would like to ask, what is your suggestion of what kind of skill set? Of course, making the personalized dashboard and all, I think they would have made a note. It is a wonderful thought.
Yeah.
At the student level, if they look at mostly the dashboard will fill with the subjects, what they are learning now, or with certification courses. Right. And then they would give a space for books to read or new skill set. If you look at the skill set which they can acquire, any young professionals, because some of engineering students are also there. So what is your suggestion?
So yeah, as you asked the question, I think there's a jet of competencies and skill set that cross my mind, because I come from the domain of psychology. I'm a psychologist by training. So if you are from that point of view, if you suggest, if I asked you to suggest, I think certain competencies like achievement orientation. A person, we have to go out to the world with a very strong achievement orientation, because if not us, someone else right beside us will leave us behind and grab the opportunity. We have to be adaptable, and we have to be ready for, as I said, volatility is all around. It is. I'm not making a declaration that if you have PLDB very religiously practiced into your schedule, you are totally immune from any kind of layoffs. But then what I can definitely say is, even if any adversity falls upon us, but if we are in strict observation of our personal discipline, personal learning discipline, we still remain immune. And there is as much there is an adversity around the corner, so is an opportunity just around the corner. It is just a matter of time. The vestibule between the adversity and grabbing an opportunity will definitely be very lesser for those who are into certain personal discipline of learning, as against those who remain with what they have learned from a B school.
Yeah, that actually answers the next question also. Who was asking, Lakshmi Priyanka is asking, what do you suggest, which type of organization we can choose to join without layoffs? Actually, you answered it just now. You want to add any point to that? You can.
Yeah, so I want to assure Ms. Deepika that there cannot be any organization. Nobody can name any organization which can declare itself a layoff free, because irrespective of the size, scale, or sector or nature of the organization, there is a rampant call of layoff happening. You call it a startup, or you call it as giant as a Microsoft or Oracle or Amazon. Nobody is an exception. And it is not, and even if a layoff happens, I would urge the students not to take the blame upon themselves. Even if there's an adversity, the blame does not go to because there are processes being laid off. There are the clients are withdrawing from the background. So it is not our fault at all. What will definitely be our fault is not to be on the learning curve. Embrace a continuous learning curve into, as long as you are into the active pursuit of your career, we have no option but to be on the learning curve and keep adding, upskilling ourselves in the direction of our area of the relevance of our domain. Keep observing, keep monitoring what is the in thing, what are the competencies being asked for, and am I ready for that or not? So as they say, we have this massive criticism towards this pessimism. We don't treat pessimism very honorably. It is looked down upon. But then this is a time where we have to embrace something called defensive pessimism. It is not just pessimistic attitude, but defensive pessimism. This is something that prevents me, that at least helps me in preempting what is coming, what is looming, and how should I prepare for anything that is, even if something falls upon me without a notice, I'm prepared, I'm immune, and I'll get an opportunity sooner than later.
So there is a question from Deepika. Probably I'll rephrase it. I'll read out first. Suggest some ideas about blockchain technology and also about cryptos for entrepreneurs. I understand how entrepreneurs can take leverage of this technology. I mean, this question is little, I'm rephrasing it for you. How they can leverage on this new technology.
So far my layman understanding about these crypto and blockchain are different. Firstly, blockchain is more of a defensive mechanism to make your systems more robust, whereas crypto is coming out. Blockchain, of course, is an application into the crypto, not to be misunderstood as one and same, but crypto is a dicey thing. The world is split apart. One part is embracing it, and the another is looking at it as something uncertain, dicey, and the moment you have somebody praising it, it will just go up. Only the following day you see there's a crashing down of the crypto prices. So at this stage, it is only a thing of academic interest rather than taking a deep plunge into the crypto or putting money. I don't think that's a wise idea. But for academic interest, of course, it is good to know. It is desirable to know as to how it operates, what it functions, and what is it based upon. A formless and an intangible currency trying to make its way into the society is a thing only of future, or how many regulators will actually turn in the interest of this thing, only time suggests.
Okay. Then Dr. V. Thangavel is asking, can you define the best online database for economists at national and international level?
Well, I think this online database, I think what we subscribe to, Bloomberg is of course one of the best databases to subscribe to. I'm sure it has a little higher price tag attached to it, but then it promises to be one of the best. Yeah. Or, I mean, if you want to just lay out your hands immediately for some immediate consumption, I think the publications like Economist, which also have a partial content of the website allowed for free reading, but still that satiates my hunger. At least I don't have to reach out to the paid one till now, at least, because they have enough number of articles and columns that they release for free of any economic cost.
Yeah. Thank you. I think no more questions now. It was actually a beautiful session, which I was enjoying throughout as participants and then officials available on the online platform. Started with understanding the obsolescence, redundancy, and irrelevance, and also you have beautifully explained with the help of examples of how economies and sectors and companies, products, how this disruption is happening and which is becoming part of the life. So I have beautifully given all the examples and covered all the sectors and made it like very easy for us to understand, because it is, you just gave examples, so many examples actually, which students could get it in a year, you could give it in one short session. So That was beautifully explained. And the VUCA times, which is like we have been hearing it since almost 10 years now.
Right.
The conversion of volatility to the vision, and the uncertainty to understanding, and complexity to clarity, and ambiguity to agility is a beautiful thought. And you have been researching on all these things, I think, which probably you might publish, which you showed in the last slide, actually.
Yes.
So you showed the graph, right? So that is a beautiful explanation. And especially the learning for students and for me is creating a personal dashboard of how you upskill yourself on regular basis, so that you are not really scared of any layoffs, because you are updated with what is happening around you. That holds good for corporate or for academicians or anybody for that matter. So reading is that one skill which always keeps us on the edge and stand in the competition. So I think you actually give broader picture to the students of how actually they can understand management from a business perspective and from the contemporary international perspective as well. So this has been a really learning experience for all the participants, I hope, and all good things come to an end, and every end has a new beginning too. So I take this opportunity to thank today's resource person, Dr. KBS Kumar, founder director of bschoolexpress.com, for enlightening all the participants on the topic. And we are ever grateful to the President AIMS, Dr. R. Nandagopal Garu, for initiating such knowledge sharing sessions. And I also thank AIMS Regional Vice President, Dr. Narayan Reddy Garu, for being such inspiration to initiate such sessions. I also thank AIMS Executive Secretary M Venkateswari Garu for being a constant support and motivation in organizing the sessions. I thank all the participants who attended this session with a lot of enthusiasm and has given so many queries so that we are able to answer them and clarify that. And I thank all the technical team members also who has been supporting this event. Hope that this session would add value to your existing knowledge, and hope to meet all of you in the upcoming AIMS knowledge sharing session. And this has been a very, very fruitful session, spending 1 hour of time with such a knowledge person. Thank you so much, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you very much, madam. I thank AIMS from the core of my heart. My personal thanks to Nandagopal sir, who suggested me to occupy this 1 hour. I thank him directly. I thank him very much. And Joshi ji, thank you very much for facilitating the session. And I thank one and all the participants. I hope I could add some value to the participants through this session. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Greatly. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.